Good morning. This isn't the normal voice of Amar. Um, you're in for a treat, guys, this week because you've got me, Amit, um, and the ever amazing Jaff.
Well, I think Amar's on his scouring around the world, isn't he? On his like worldly adventures, probably.
Yes, look, trade missions and hopefully a bit of sun. Although we're getting a lot of sun at the minute.
Yeah, well, definitely a discussion point, Amit, because the sun is definitely out. And do you know what? I don't know if you've come across this amongst your kind of peers and colleagues, but we always, when we got the cold weather, we always kind of moaning and groaning about it. You got the wind, you got the rain, you got the snow, and most of the time in Britain. It's always the weather's never the best. But when we do get beautiful weather, how many people are moaning about the weather? Oh, it's too hot, it's too this, it's too that.
Uh, I'm first to complain about the heat.
But you just don't like it.
Yeah, I can deal with the cold.
Mm.
Rain not so much. But I can deal with the cold. Not, not so bothered about wind. Um, but oh my God, in this heat, I literally
But do you
I
not enjoy
cannot
it at
cope.
all then, Amit? Because like the sun is so good for you, and we get such little of it. When it's here, everyone seems to be complaining, and I just can't get my head around that.
Because I feel suffocated.
But then imagine if you're going on holiday to like, let's say you're going on holiday to India or something,
Uh-huh.
and it's a much harsher heat.
Yeah, but very it's very muggy here, isn't it?
Mm.
It's very sweaty. It's very, and also our offices, our houses, our places aren't really built for the heat.
Mate, yeah, they're not. I mean, because the house gets hot very, very quickly, and and then I guess you have to. Everyone's probably leaving all the windows open at night, and then interestingly, when the birds start singing at like 3 a.m. or 3:54 a.m., all of a sudden, you're kind of up very, very early. Um, But overall, I'm loving it because I just think that, we could all kind of the benefits of the sun and just that season of summer. And if you get a summer, which we don't always get, I think I just like to embrace it and make the most of it. Walk around with a shirt on and stuff, and even leave work kind of late at night with a shirt because normally the weather turns at night, it gets cold because there's been so many occasions. You get up in the morning, oh, it's a warm day. Let's put a shirt on, get to work, and it's like 10:30, 11, and then you're about to leave and to get into the car, and it's freezing because the weather's turned in the evening. So that's not happened in the last few days as well, which is another noticeable change in that, it's been a consistent heat day, night, early hours. And for me, I think it's a nice thing because when we go on holiday, unless you're going skiing, most holiday destinations, everyone's checking the weather. They want to get a bit of sun. So we've got it right on our doorstep. So let's kind of enjoy it a little bit, I think.
What impact does the weather have on your business?
Um, well, this week's a bit of an exception because it's graduation week. So I think the city centres and most restaurants probably busy. But generally, the heat is, well, in Jasmine, where you have an outside dining area, I think it's good because obviously people know that and they want to go and sit in the veranda. City centre generally is really poor, I know retail is really poor. I know Phoenix and stuff, they hate the sun because no one goes into the shops. Um, and they really suffer. So I think the for business overall, I would say the heat is not good um, unless you do have an outside area, which makes a massive difference. If you imagine pitching piano near the Millennium Bridge, without even knowing, but you can envisage how rammed that's going to be because of the sun, because everyone's just out there milking it. So, depends on the venues, but I think overall, most hospitality businesses probably suffer when the sun comes because people will be having barbecues at the weekend and stuff like that.
You think curry is not a summer food,
Um,
a hot day food?
well, it's a hot day of food in India, bloody hell, you know. so, so I think I think I mean, well, the restaurants, Indian restaurants, are not about all about curries because that's why it's probably the most dynamic cuisine in the world because from the north you've got all the grills, um, from the south you've got all the you got all the fish dishes and you can have dried fish and lots of different things. So I think and you can like do some amazing salads, like mango salads and so many like great vegetables and fruits that you can use to make salad. So I think there might be a bit of I don't know if the perception is Indian restaurants connected to curries, which it probably is, but it's a lot broader than that. And I think maybe there's something to do with that because definitely in the winter, a warm curry is more synonymous or it probably connects a bit better, doesn't it? So, but yeah, I think the perception of Indian restaurants wholly just doing curries, I think it's ever evolving.
True.
What's
So I wanted to talk to you because you're
yeah.
you're in the restaurant trade, and I want to talk about city centre restaurants
Mm.
and city centres. Are they the thing of the past?
Um,
More people now diversifying outside of the city centre?
do you know what?
Obviously, you've got a bit of a mix.
Yeah, it's a really interesting question. And I had a meeting with um, the city centre restaurants actually, and it was chaired by the chief exec at NE1. And that meeting was just a week ago. It's a very interesting question because we, the people that were involved in this meeting, like Cafe 21, Terry Laburn, who is probably the most incredible restaurateur that's been in Newcastle, certainly for the last 30 years with Cafe 21. He used to be a Michelin star chef. He's got venues in Phoenix, like Porterhouse and the Fish Place, and he's got 21 in Phoenix. He's got St. Vincent. They're like really fantastic group, high end, very expensive, but very, very high quality, massive city centre presence, along with people like the Hooch, um, and there was people from the live theatre and others. Now, we all talked and we all said that if you think about any city, whether you go to Edinburgh, Manchester, Leeds, London, the city centre and what's in the city centre is a representation of people's experiences and memories of the city centre. So if you want to be a really good, well-regarded international city centre, then you must have a lot of the top restaurants in the city centre because that's just the standard expectation. And we, being based in the city, we do have that mindset that we have to be at the cutting edge of your game to survive in the city centre because you're up against the best. So if you imagine more recently, there's been a lot of restaurants opening in High Heaton on Chillingham Road and stuff. Some really good ones. And you've got like restaurants in the suburbs. Now, could those restaurants come and cut it in the city centre? I don't think all of them could because the stakes are a lot higher in the city centre. So the point is, number one, I think they'll always. I think that's probably a perception of the majority of public. That's let's imagine you're going to Manchester and you want to go to a nice, let's say you want to go to a nice Thai restaurant. You most likely would want to go into in and around the city centre. You don't want to go like 5 miles out of Manchester to go to a Thai restaurant. So number one, there's a duty and responsibility to understand that from all the traders, and I think they do. Um, so if you're looking at that context, there's always going to be good restaurants in the city centre, and I think there'll always be a demand for that, especially if you're surrounded by good amenities such as the Glass House. You got the Baltic, you got the football, which is in the city centre. If you got, like, for example, Champions League games, when you got all the UEFA representatives coming, like a couple of days before, because they come and inspect the pitches and all of those things. So when they're going to land in the city centre. They're going to be staying in the city centre. The proximity of hotels in the city centre is clustered, so they would want to go and dine in the city centre. So I think that's definitely important. Saying all of that, sorry, just to finish off on that point, our city centre is like a great city centre because you've got this nucleus, which is, let's say, Squares Monument on Northumberland Street, and it just like it kind of outwardly kind of goes out really nicely. So you got then you move on to Grey Street. On this side, you come onto the areas around the gate and what have you. Then you come into the Leazes Park. Then you got the stadium. On the other side, you go down Grey Street into Dean Street. Then you got the quayside. You got the river, and effectively, the city centre is like pretty cool because you've got a nucleus, and it just grows from that nucleus. So so that's all really, really good. But I think for me, my experiences, and this is the big um, moans that we were having as businesses to anyone. The city centre is still amazing. There's a massive demand. But if you can't get into the city centre because the city council takes away all the parking, then how you're making it less viable. So all of the things that I'm saying, like, how do you get in? You can't expect everyone to get the bloody bus or get a taxi. You want them to be able to park in. We're just a little city. Why are you like taking away some vital car park spaces in and around the city, which has been there for hundreds of years and it's done its job? There's nothing that you're making 6 months.
Oh wow.
Been a lot of shops like Bagnall, I think the one that used to do, on Grey Street. Can you remember that shop that used to have like fish
Oh
nets
yeah,
and
yeah.
like you can go and buy things to go fishing? That's gone. That's been there for 150 years. It's gone because they took away all the parking. Now there, people used to come, like put half an hour in the parking on Grey Street. There would always be parking in the day. They would go in, nip out, get their bits and bobs, and they would go. So, so there is big difficulties in what you're saying. I think there's more challenges in city centre venues because I think it's down to access. Um, so I think that's the key thing. I would have also have said that if you want to be in the city centre, you have to be prepared to pay more rents and higher business rates. So the costs are higher, and maybe those venues that are um, out, on the suburbs, they're going to get better rental deals, which probably means in this climate they can have more competitive pricing, and people might be attracted to that because everyone's being hit in the back pocket. So that's another factor which I think would goes against the city centre. Um, so yeah, I think there seems to be a trend, Amit, that people are moving and looking at other areas where they can they'll find it more attractive for all of those reasons. Um, Parking, cheaper running costs. Um, and just maybe tapping into that local community. Um, so I guess that's what my prognosis is on what's happening in the city centre.
And is that the same prognosis when it comes to retail? So not hospitality, but retail.
So I think so because obviously retail's game is even more challenging because of obviously they've struggled because of all the online stuff where people would just much rather go to these um, you know all these retailers online and just order because it's much easier. That's been a trend for the last few years, I think that maybe that's why the prime city center location, where you would have expected that, where the old Odeon was, where the
Yeah,
staff was more recently. Now it's the big HMRC offices. It's got 7,000 people coming into the city center. Now, that to me, it's saying that they must have tried to market that particular site to people like, over the years, I thought it was going to be like a Harvey Nicks, or Selfridges is going to come into that site. It was always talked about.
it was. Yeah,
Now, you would have envisaged that to be there. I would have never have envisaged building office spaces in prime city center location. And that's what they've done because it mustn't have been viable, for retail to move in, because of, why would you spend X amount of millions of pounds creating a physical shop if the trend is to go away into and get everything online? So I think that is the trend. But I think there's always going to be people wanting to go and touch and feel and try things on. So I think cities and the councils, they need to be really work on how they can work on challenging the mindsets of people just keep on buying things online. And I think that's not easy because it's like you're up against like global changes and people's way that they want to kind of shop. And how do you
well,
curb that?
you're up against yourself. So retailers who want so big stores, the likes of your, I don't know, Sports Directs or Next or whatever. That Next are offering an amazing online service, aren't they? Order by 10 p.m. and get it the next day. Like
Yeah.
an amazing service. And actually, they're challenging themselves, aren't they, to a degree, with a high street presence as opposed to online.
Mm. Yeah.
So they've got their foot in both camps, and actually, it's going to have to go one way or the other eventually.
Mm.
Um, the process on returns is really easy, like just like crazy easy now on how to do return.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which means that actually people buy four sizes online and 10 colors, get
Yeah.
them, keep one, and send the rest back.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that was a sticking point, which I guess they've resolved and sorted. But I mean, what do you like envisage city centers to be in 10 years' time?
I generally don't know. I've looked and I've tried to understand, and I've spoken to the likes of anyone and whatnot when we're working with them on other projects. And actually, I can just see it going shrinking, going smaller.
Mm.
So there's a few places. If we look at, say, Whitley Bay as an example, because
Mm.
it's quite far out from Newcastle city centre to be, but a lot of the retail units on the outskirts have now went back to residential.
Okay, as
They've
in they've given up the businesses
they've
and
given up the businesses and they've converted the shop fronts back into bricks and mortar, front
yeah,
door, and inside they've converted it into residential. And that's happening more and more on the outskirts of city centres. But
yeah,
weirdly enough, on the outskirts of city centres, there's more and more residential places that are then converting into retail or hospitality just because of the convenience, like you said, of parking, getting there, being really close,
yeah.
linking
But
into the local market.
yeah, you can do all of those things. I think I'm just really, I mean, I've been in hospitality all my life, and I can say categorically that the way that things are stacked up at the moment in terms of all of the costs, it's literally, even when you sat with the professionals, the accountants, and they're going through your kind of P&L, it's a very, very tough trade to balance the books because all the costs are so huge that it's it's maybe the other reasons why places are turning back into residential from whether it be leisure or retail, because things are moving, and unfortunately, um you know certain costs are so high. So for example, energy, right? If you imagine you have a restaurant, think about that. All of your, like, I was speaking to a friend who's got a sign business. He's got quite a big sign business. He said, "Well, look, I closed my factory. When my factory's closed, that's it. You know, I don't have any heat, light, and power that's running. I have like a little fridge for milk or whatever in the staff canteen area, and that's it. But if you imagine a restaurant, how many fridges and cold rooms and stuff
Mm.
you have that are left on bottle cabs and running 24/7. Now, those type of costs, if those costs have like doubled over the last like 3 years or since the pandemic, like you're talking about 100% increases in costs, right? As opposed to ordinarily price increases of 5%. When things go up by 100% and you look at your prices for a curry, which may have been £10 in the pandemic, now it's gone up like to 12 quid, but it should have gone up to 20 quid
Mm.
to balance everything. Now, when you don't have that balance, and that's across the board, you're in big trouble. So everything becomes very, very tight. And I think when I speak to other friends and colleagues, everyone's in the same boat. They're suffering because they can't balance things out. And I think, and then if you have footfalls reducing in city centres because of social changes and car parking issues and A, B, C, and D, everything becomes even more tighter. So I guess from being in the city centre, what we always hope for is, um, because it's still, like you said, the nucleus of the city centre is absolutely phenomenal. So we need to work on how do we bring in more people from out of town into the city, make it more attractive for people to visit. Um, there needs to be a really dynamic leaders in the city council, and they need to look at all of the cities across the world and see if there's areas where they want to develop. How do you develop? How do you develop with multi-pronged kind of businesses, all different to each other, as opposed to just putting in leisure, 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 leisure? Because in the city centre, I mean, you've got the stack next to the St James's Park, right?
Yeah.
There's another stack opening in Pilgrim Street where all that development's been happening. What's it called, man? It's that lovely part of Pilgrim Street towards the bottom. You've got those Carlisle Square, I think, around there, right? So that's going to be about another 20, 30 leisure operators. Then you've got
Where, sorry, where's the space on the bottom of Pilgrim Street?
do you know where the new imagine where the fire station used to be, which is going to be at Dakota Hotel. So there's
Oh, sorry. So where the
not
that whole
Dakota.
building near
It's gonna
55 degrees.
Yes. So in between 55 degrees and the fire station, which is going to be Gotham Hotel. That's opening. Gotham Hotel is a five-star hotel opening in a couple of months' time. They reckon August, I reckon September. So in the other space, um, between Gotham and 55 degrees, there's like a set of
Right. Yeah.
buildings that are there. So they've all been refurbished over the last like 2 years or 3 years. And they're all going to be leisure. And they're going to be, so as you go in, there's a courtyard in that. So you've got the facade of old kind of Victorian buildings, and they're like lovely, like really, really lovely buildings. And then you go in, there's a courtyard where you have like the containers. So it's going to be it's another stack development, which they've brought the area to life. I'm not sure about having just much of a muchness of some more retail and leisure operators to go in there. I don't know how they're going to cut that. Is it going to work? Because I just can't see there being enough people in the city to cater for that. Then you got, obviously, I mentioned Gotham Hotel. It's going to be a bar. It's going to be a restaurant. It's going to be a hotel. They've really like developed that building. It's like lovely. Like it was such a lovely building anyway. So they've kept the essence of it, the exterior of it, and inside they probably gutted it out. And I know that people have been in to have a look, and I said it's going to be like really nice. There's another beautiful hotel, if you're not aware, that's open called Dakota in the city centre, where Dickinson and Dee's building
Yeah.
used to be. That's beautiful. I strongly recommend our listeners to go and try that. Go and have a steak. I mean, it's not cheap. It's 100 squidder for a steak, right? But it is like good stuff. So there's all of that happening. On top of Debenhams, right? There's another huge development. It's around about 500 square meters. And there's a concept in Manchester. It's called Freight Island. Have you heard of it?
We spoke about this the
Oh
last
yeah,
time Amar was on holiday, but it
so
just got announced at that
yeah,
point, hadn't it?
there's like another massive development, but it's just another kind of gate from 20 years ago.
Is that happening? Because I've not heard
I think so. I
much
think so
more
because I
since
think they
then.
were quite far down the line on that. And then obviously you've got the gate, which is effectively turned into amusements because the retail and the leisure didn't continue to work, but the casino's still there, the cinema's still there. So there's all of these things, but I think it's a much of a muchness. I think what we're very fortunate to have in Newcastle City Centre is the football stadium because the influx of 50,000 people, 52,000 people, like once a week or once every 2 weeks, and with us being in Champions League and A, B, C, and D, the benefit of that is massive to the vibrancy of the city centre. And if they do build a new stadium, which they're planning to do, I think, and even if it takes 3-4 years for them to build, but if you imagine there's like 1,000 people working on it for the next 3-4 years, and you got all of the people coming into the city. So we're even hanging on to things like that to think, oh, how is the city centre going to become more vibrant? And so I think when you compare it to other city centres, we've got a lot of good things set up because of the geography of it, the nucleus of the city centre. But I think we need to do a lot more to really enhance it and develop it, and hopefully they will make the right decisions to benefit Newcastle as a city, because I think the city centre is just so important for the overall image of the city worldwide.
Yeah, what city centres are really good for is entertainment, isn't it? So we've talked about the retail, we've talked about the hospitality, but actually city centres are really good for entertainment, and they do tend to be the hub for entertainment
Yeah,
events.
yeah, 100%. And on entertainers and events, we've got the great Vikas here, and I'm sure he'll be able to tell us about all of the great things that he's going to bring into the city and the city centre. How you doing, Vikas?
I'm very well, Jeff. Hello, Amit. How you doing? Good morning.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
How you doing? You good?
Yeah, yeah, good. Really good to have you on. Amar's not around at the moment. He's on some trade missions around the world somewhere. Uh,
Jet
so
setting around.
yeah, 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 yeah. How you been? How you been, Vikas? Do you want to fill us in on where you are and what's going on?
Yeah. Well, I'm currently sat in my office at home. But yeah, it's that time of year again. At my annual appearance on on the show business show each
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah,
And this time it's with Amit, and you just was Amit and you, Jeff. And yeah, it comes around each year just so quickly. So
yeah.
it's
It
the
does.
start of 2025, and that starts next week on Monday, really. So I'm always hugely grateful to Spice FM, to the show here as well, to yourselves to help promote it and support it. So yeah, we've got a fantastic lineup next week. So just
Yeah.
to talk a bit about
Looking
that.
at, I've been looking at some of your videos. They just look the artists that you got. You obviously you need to fill us in on them, but they just look amazing, like amazing.
So this year, we've sort of we're really excited about the program this year, and we launch it from Newcastle Theatre Royal, which is a majestic venue in the heart of the city centre on Grey Street, and we've got an equally majestic performance by an incredible artist called Akash Odedra. He's just again, in terms of the dance world, he's the first South Asian dancer to win two prestigious sort of international awards very recently. And he's created this new piece of work called Songs of the Bulbul, which is a beautiful dance show, incredible set. His stage settings are just amazing. That's why we had to have it in the Theatre Royal as well, because it's so expansive, it's so beautiful. But he's worked with Manchester Cameretta, which is one of the foremost orchestras in the country, and Rashil Rajan, who's an incredible composer, and Abhi Sampa, and they've sort of collaborated and brought Sufi music and orchestration together as part of this performance. And it's had 5-star reviews of major papers like The Guardian, The List. You know what I mean? It's been critically acclaimed. Now, even in the context of South Asian art form, do you know what I mean? To get that mainstream recognition is just huge. And we're sold huge. There's only limited tickets left. So if people want tickets for that performance, please get them, because it's not just, it'll be a cultural experience. You'll go away thinking, wow. We brought him twice already here to the region at Northern Stage, and each time the dance performance is incredible. He is just fluid. He's like the Bruce Lee of dance, you know what I mean? He is when he dances, but the setting, and the amount of thought and the quality and the excellence of the work is just phenomenal. So I can't highly recommend it enough, even if people have never been to see a show or dance or GemArts show. You know what I mean? This is the show to go and see. Really, it is. It is.
And Vikas, and that is on. It's in the evening on the Monday, Theatre Royal,
7:30.
Yeah, and if our listeners are looking to get more information and buy tickets, where would they go to do that?
So you can go on GemArts website, gemarts.org, and I know that Spice FM have got all the events from the Masala Festival listed. They're running adverts on it as well. Again, throughout the week as well, we've got a whole host of other things. We're collaborating with yourselves at Dabawell for the 9th year again, you know what I mean, since the start of the festival. And your chefs have created incredible menu inspired by all the artists from the different countries and regions from where the artists are from Masala Festival. So
we're dead happy, you know, because we did some tastings yesterday, and we just thought it was nice to challenge the chefs to do something different. So they've got dishes from like Nepal, dal bat, and they've got some like really cool dishes actually. So we've got this menu going to be running all week in conjunction with Masala Festival. So we're really proud to have that partnership, and it's mad how it's just gone so quickly from. I remember the first year we partnered with you to now. I can't believe it's 9 years. It just flies by, doesn't it? The years.
It does. And again, you know, so if you want to go for a pre or a post show dining, you know what I mean, Dabawell's got that offer, and also there's a 10% discount for anyone that is Dabafest 2025 at that as well. So, you know, it's all joined up, and we've got all sorts of other things happening throughout the week as well in the city centre. So we've brought a guy called Gurneet Johal, who's he's a fantastic novelist, and he's going to be at Northern Stage. His new book called Saraswati has just won the Observer Prize. He's just been nominated for Waterstone's best newcomer as well, so that's going to be there. We've got incredible. We've got an artist, so as well as supporting national and international artists. You know, we've got a real commitment as GemArts to support regional artists. So there's a fantastic visual artist called Sophia Barton from the West End, British Pakistani artist, and she's got an exhibition at Vane Art Gallery, which GemArts have commissioned for the Masala Festival, and it's called Death Magic. So it's looking through a Punjabi lens around ancestry, death, remembrance, but also celebration of that as well. So
I was reading that on the website because it caught my eye, Death Magic, and I was reading it, and I did a bit of research, and that really fascinates me, because actually death and that kind of stuff is not what we as a community, as a culture, really talk about ever. It happens, and a week later we sweep it under the carpet, and it's never really discussed again. But for someone as an artist to, especially culturally, there's loads of different lenses, and actually we all treat death and in different ways. I was reading this, and I was honestly, that's definitely one that I'm going to, because I'm so fascinated with the fact that we're bringing up topics through the Masala Festival that people don't really want to talk about or are uncomfortable talking about.
Of course, it is. I think the festival is certainly a celebration of South Asian art and culture. It is, but also it's about challenging sort of, you know, different perspectives of that as well, and also bringing that to the forefront so that people, because creativity, arts, or whatever, you got to have it creates an opinion, it creates a talking point, it helps people to talk about things as well. And the way that the images and the way that the artwork is being created, you know what I mean? It's this, you know, as well as some poignant pieces of work, there's some, again, you know, sometimes it's about celebrating someone's life as well and what they brought as well. And, you know, and it's about remembrance. It's also about what those people, whether your elders, your parents or friends or whoever it might be, what lasting impact that they made on your life as well, you know what I mean? And how they formed and shaped you as you go forward, you know what I mean? And have that respect as well for that, you know what I mean? I think, and that as well brings kind of some solace to people as well, you know what I mean? Absolutely does. And I think that exhibition is going to really bring some of that out and bring some of those conversations out, especially because they're from a Punjabi perspective as well, because she's Punjabi Pakistani as well, her heritage is. But she's an incredible artist. She's created work also for the new metros as well that have come on as well. So it's great to have that regional talent. And she's be doing a workshop as part of that where they're going to create lotuses with communities, and that's going to be part of one of the installations at the Vane Art Gallery. The Vane Art Gallery, those who don't know, is over in Gateshead. It's just beyond the Tyne Bridge as you come into Gateshead. But all the directions are on our website as well. So that's one of the things as well. We've got great film. Sorry.
Because what date is that one?
So that is from the 14th of, so that launches on the day of the Masala Festival as well. And then it goes on until the 4th of August. So, that's just drop in, that's free. Again, as part of the festival, we have paid ticketed events, absolutely, but we also have many events which are free where people can just go along and watch stuff as well. You know what I mean? Because we want to make sure that everyone, no matter what backgrounds that they come from, can afford it. We have lots of ticket offers, and we have pay as you feel on some ticket offers. And if people can't afford it, they can bring GemArts up, and we can sort something out as well for them as well. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what we're committed to doing as well for all communities. So we've got some great films that are happening as well across the city. We've got a Tibetan film called I the Song, that's over at Tyneside Cinema. We've got a Sri Lankan film called Paradise over at Culture Lab. And then we've got at the Baltic on the 17th of July, a South Asian curated film shorts, which have short films from a range of countries across the Indian subcontinent, looking at, forced. But I guess like one of the main topics at the minute is about displacement, about sort of migration as well. So it's looking at that through a South Asian lens as well, in terms of why people move, where they move to, from rural to conurbation cities, why they do that, you know what I mean? But also how people migrate from one country to the other, and also forced migration as well. So that's a fantastic curated short film program by Sunali Joshi, who again is another originally from the Northeast. Now she's living in Tokyo at the minute, but she's coming back for the festival to present that work. And then we've got at the Glass House, which is another really exciting program, which I'd love to sort of talk about, is we're commissioning a new piece of work by three Northern brothers. So they're from Leeds, so it's not too far away. Ishar Singh is the lead artist, so he's an incredible young santoor player, and he's just released his new EP called Blossoming, which is a collaboration between Indian classical orchestration, Western orchestration, and electronic music. So we've commissioned him to work with Royal Northern Symphonia, again one of the foremost orchestras in the country, and we've got them. This is their home in the Northeast, and so we're so lucky to have that. But equally, Isha is just an incredible young artist, and he's playing with his two brothers, Sirjan, who's a percussionist on tabla, and Jeevan, who plays Esraj, which is a beautiful, deep sort of instrument, mainly played from the Sikh tradition as well. But that's going to be at the Glass House on the 18th, Friday the 18th of July. So there's tickets available for that. They're selling really fast, you know what I mean? So again, please urge audiences and listeners to go get some tickets and support that work. And then we've got, again, we've got Free Spill, which is a spoken word literature event, which is curated by Tamina Ali, who's a fantastic spoken word poet, Geordie, Bangladeshi, British artist, and she's curated an event up at the West End at the Diversity Hub. So again, we're looking at work with different venues, places and spaces, from major venues to, community spaces as part of the program. So it's accessible for everyone. So again, with Free Spill, we want to create that as a dry event, because we know that lots of people don't drink alcohol as well. So it's about sort of ensuring that, people don't feel uncomfortable and around that. And so that's one of the things that Tamina absolutely wanted to do. And we've got some amazing young artists and spoken word poets from the region, and also from nationally, that are coming down to sort of basically perform at that event. So that's on Saturday. And in the city centre, we've got the Bollywood Brass Band on the Saturday in the morning as well. And that's going to be quite busy next Saturday, because it's during Pride as well, isn't it? So I think there'll be a lot of stuff happening in the city centre. So it's Masala Festival, Pride, and also Dabawa will have their special offer as well. So we're going to try joining all that up. And then the Masala Festival finally ends on the 20th with our mini Mela at Bench Grove in Gateshead, which is a free family event. Lots of creative arts activities, free food for families and communities, and come down, just have a great time, bring the family around and enjoy yourself at the Masala Festival. That's what it is.
Amazing. Do you know what? Because I was just thinking whilst you were speaking, just going back to many years ago, and I think I mean you guys were involved in when we would bring artists like Bhangra artists and stuff. And I used to do events at university, but the scope of it was just it's going to be R&B, hip hop, Bhangra, but the type of caliber and the diversity of the artists that you've been bringing to Newcastle over the last, how long does the Masala Festival have? 10, 12 to 15 years or so, is it?
Yeah. Well, the Masala Festival has been running ninth year, but like this is my 25th year. So I set up GemArts 25 years ago.
So we have to like take a hat off, because for us in Newcastle, if it wasn't for yourself, we wouldn't even be privy to all of these names that you've been bringing to the region, to the city for all of these years. And I think we're really fortunate, because it's such a broad array of artists, like talented from around the world, and artists, but different artists from even the three Punjabi brothers and the way that they were doing things. It's kind of, how do you kind of know, and what do you actually look for to make sure that they're kind of out of the box and not the standard fare artists? Does that make sense?
No, it is. I think, again, like all art forms, whether that's Bhangra, whether it's R&B, whether it's hip hop, like, that some of these artists have influence from that as well, but also have that. But again, all those genres of music, right? Like GemArts is covered in some form or shape in any case, you know what I mean? And I think that it's really important. But some of these art forms as well, which aren't commercial, right, need support, you know what I mean? Because essentially, even if you look at the biggest Bollywood singers or the Bhangra singers, right, they've learned from a guru or someone, right? And that's the practice, you know what I mean? And they hone their talent into becoming an exceptional musician, you know what I mean? Them are the brilliant ones, you know what I mean? It's like having a chef as well, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The best chefs in the world are constantly practicing, creating, and you know what I mean? That's how you become incredible. And a lot of these artists, that's their profession, that's all they've done, and that's all they've sort of invested in themselves in doing, you know what I mean? And I think with lots of these artists, some of them, we've been supporting them from a long time, from when they were very young. We have a network of other organisations which are similar to GemArts across the country and also worldwide, that basically have trusted relationships. And again, it's ensuring that, you maintain that level of quality and excellence as well. But also at the same, you want to make sure that you're bringing in world-class artists, but definitely supporting emerging and developing artists, so that you give them platforms from sort of performing in community spaces and events to sort of medium-sized venues to then sort of performing at the Glass House, you know what I mean? I think you need to have that, you need to tread the boards, you know what I mean? You can't just expect it, all right, I've done this, I want to go and perform at the Glass House, you know what I mean? You need to ensure that you hone your skill, you hone your performance, you hone your way that you sort of interact with the audience and everything like that, and then get those, platforms to really shine. But for us, as well, we've always been at the heart of it, ensuring that when we bring in international artists, that we're definitely supporting emerging and young artists from this country as well, because that's kind of what, we really need to do. Like lots of the, like just to give you an example, lots of the Indian classical artists, when they first started coming back in 25, 30 years ago, they would bring their percussionists here, from India as well. But like over the years, we've developed a whole suite of young artists who are now internationally renowned as well. We're going, well, look, you don't need to bring them. We've got these musicians here. So when them musicians go back home to India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, wherever it is, they'll go, wow, have you seen that talent there? You know what I mean? Because that's kind of how you develop that, and it is like, we're an Arts Council funded organisation. It's incumbent on us to ensure that happens. You know what I mean? that's one of our priorities so that we have an ecology of incredible talent within the region and UK wide that then can go on internationally. And that's what Gash has done. He's had lots of support down in the Midlands, you know what I mean? And then we, by programming him up here and supporting his work up here as well, we're able to sort of ensure that audiences, whether that's South Asian audiences or wider audiences as well, like from all communities. We want to appeal to all communities, you know what I mean, as an organisation, because I think that the talent and the performance that we bring will kind of sort of go further than just a specific audience. It needs to be seen by everyone.
Just one more question then, just on this, Vikas. When you look at, for example, the Mela that happens on a regular basis, obviously your events are very, very niche. And to me, it looks as though that it's kind of quality focused as well, because of the fact that you're in these venues such as the Theatre Royal, and then you go into the Glass House. I'm presuming that that's something that, do you give that a lot of thought as well?
Yeah, it is, like coming back to it, I think that some of those venues, right, you need to be able to sort of have that audience. And like I said before, to get to play at those venues, that's not to say that we don't have like spots on emerging spots where, you do get an opportunity to play at major venues, because you have to raise aspirations and be inspired. So unless you get the opportunity to do that, but all these artists there, we know that in terms of the sound quality, in terms of the production values, that's what they need to ensure that, they can give their best performance as well, and that they can connect, and the audiences expect that as well, actually, you know what I mean? So yeah, that thought does go in, and I guess you always look as a programmer, as a producer, as a curator, where that art form or where that artist could best sit. Do you know what I mean? In terms of where they are, in terms of their trajectory, where they are in terms of their trajectory, in terms of their career, where would they best sit, and where would they attract that audience, really? So
I'm presuming, so you're going to expect quite a diverse audience coming to your events.
Yeah, I think when we first started off, right, so we program a lot of Indian classical music as well, you know what I mean, like world class. We've brought the most highly regarded artists to the Northeast region, and we've been doing that for 12 years. We have a regular Riverside Raga program at the Glass House. And what was the question again? Sorry.
Do you know the audience that are going to visit? I'm presuming it's a combination of Asian customers, English customers, young, old, a real mix of people that just want to see great performers on stage.
Yeah, and I think, like, just go back, so when we first started, like 80-90% of our audience was South Asian audiences.
Okay.
But because we've been programmed, you have to program that long, because again, like lots of venues, like again, it's not, you can't program one thing, you know what I mean, and everyone will come, you know what I mean. But also to sustain as an organization for 25 years, because we have a smaller South Asian population than, like, even if you go down to Bradford and Leeds, which is only an hour away or so, you know what I mean. We had to ensure that, we were creating, we were developing audiences all that time as well. So now when you come to our classical concerts as well, it might be 60-40, 50-50, you know what I mean, in terms of South Asian and non-South Asian mix, because we had to sustain and maintain our program, but also to ensure that, there's a longevity for the artists and for GemArts. You've got to do that, you know what I mean? You've got to look at where your audience segmentation is and how do you appeal to that audience, and you've got to ensure that, again, that quality of that work always is there, so that they can, when they see GemArts, you know what I mean, there's a brand there, they go, right, okay, we'll trust that brand really, actually, to bring some quality work here.
Oh, amazing. I've been hugging all the questions, man. And do you have anything that you want to get out of Vikas?
No, Jeff, all good questions. Well done.
Like, I guess the other thing as well, because we're just to sort of say this, because we're not a venue-based organisation, we collaborate and work in partnership. That's kind of what we do. You know what I mean? We've got amazing partnerships, amazing venue partners across the whole of the city, across all of the Northeast, and and they share our vision and mission as well. Equally, we collaborate with yourself as well, Jeff, and Spice FM, and with everyone else. So I guess without that sort of partnership, without that support, we can't do what we do either. So we're always really huge.
But I think that partnership I think it's great. For me, looking at what you do, looking at all those artists and the range of artists you've got, but then you've also got the range of the venues as well, and it's started around, and it's different venues for different types of artists for the atmosphere, for the feel of it. So you're not just picking one venue and you're just doing right every day. I've got something in the same venue all week, and it's easier for you to book one venue for a week. But actually coordinating with loads of different venues, not only coordinating but sound, lighting, staffing, like there's every little bit that you've got to coordinate for this 1 week
Yeah.
of the festival.
I, I wouldn't
And
like to be in Vikas.
venues work really well as well for the topic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. No, it is. It's a it is. There's a huge again. Like you all understand because you sort of you do that sort of work as well. You know what I mean? So there is a huge complexity of it, and it's about how do you trust that relationship. So I've got amazing relationships with people at the venue, so I have full trust in them. So in terms of what they do, and again, that's built over lots of years as well. You know what I mean? And I guess
It does, yeah.
yeah, and you sort of and you rely on people going right. This is what it is. You send information over, and then there's sometimes like you sort of get called in for troubleshooting or if something's not going, whatever that is. But I think that's but on the whole, it works very smoothly, and lots of these major venues are professional in terms of they've got their own box offices, they've got this, that, the other. You know what I mean? They produce and put on a huge amount of shows at the time, but we're just still a small organization having to hold all those relationships as well. So but it's exciting as well. You know what I mean? I think also for us to have those partnerships with all those venues and be able to bring amazing South Asian sort of artists and voices and representation, because I do believe that, you know what I mean? That's another reason for having all these partnerships, because I do really believe that our culture, our South Asian communities have been here for a long time and contribute hugely to the region as well. And equally culturally they do as well, you know what I mean? So I think if you can't see it, you can't be it, you know what I mean? That's what it is, you know what I mean? And you need to that representation happens in some of the biggest venues and the biggest spaces, whether that's civic, outdoors, indoors, or wherever it is. And I always have respect for everyone that does that.
I think we just feel really proud in that, with everything that people are talking about in the country at the moment, or immigration and lots of people coming in, and they feel as though that they're taken away from the values of the UK, and it's not very cultural because of the background of what's happening in all the city centres and all the cities around the country. But with the way that you're doing things, it's such a great representation of our culture, our subcultures, and I think you're really putting it on the pedestal in such a positive way, and we all feel a part of it, and hopefully all of our listeners should feel a part of it and go down and visit all of the venues, because it's going to be a brilliant week. And I guess for yourself, Vikas, it's like the pinnacle of your year's work is kind of stretched within that 1 week, isn't it?
It is, like, to be honest as well, obviously we've got an autumn, winter and spring, summer program, and we do lots of participation stuff, but Masala Festival, it's like a critical mass of everything in a year. So that's where it comes to the forefront and showcases. But, I've also got an incredible team behind us at GemArts who are amazing, who work incredibly hard, and I have a privilege of coming on shows and being the face of GemArts. But all those like Lily, like Bullock, Zara, Herbal, all of trustees or volunteers, they do a huge amount of work, every day to enable this to happen as well. So I just want to give a big shout out to them. And if, like I said, if anyone wants to find out about the rest of the festival, go to gemarts.org, and you can find the whole sort of events, listings, and look forward to welcoming everyone over the week.
So so all the details are on gemarts.org. They're also on spicefm.co.uk, and they're also on the ABC website as well, so abconnections.net as well. So multiple ways to get the information, or you can literally Google the Masala Festival and it will come up as a top search as well. Thank you very much, Vikas. Thanks very much, Jaff. We are at the end of the show, and we're going to hand over to Divya with Divine with the Hindu show.
Amazing.
On the hour, every hour, from the heart of the